gentlemen, should I try it from the porch again, you know?
No.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 217th episode of the GeekVerse podcast. This is my best ASMR. GeekVerse what?
You okay?
You here for the GeekVerse review? We're going to be talking about Iron Fist today. I am the Clown Prince of Podcast, Travis Snail.
I am the Pirate King, Dylan.
I am, I'm not going to say that, the Iron Taylor Field.
Yeah, and
We're
today...
really happy that you're joining us today.
And today, or if you've not joined us for a review before, we are going to start off non-spoilers, and we're going to let you know...
First, we're going to do a segment called The Soothing Sounds of the Fist. Oh!
That doesn't sound soothing at all. That's my fist. I need some water as I'm going to choke on this almond. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to talk about Iron Fist Season 2. We'll start on spoilers. We'll let you know again spoilers. Someone please take over first because I am going to die.
I really enjoyed Iron Fist Season 2. To give a quick... So we did a review of Iron Fist Season 1. Taylor wasn't joining us. It was me, Travis, and Emily actually was part of that review. Mm-hmm. And so to give a quick overall of my thoughts, I really liked that season as well. I had some few problems with it, like there's some writing and maybe a few acting problems. I was kind of meh on Colleen's character and Colleen Bakudo, her villain. I thought he was a little flat character as well. But I really overall I like Danny Rand, even though he had some writing problems. And my two favorite characters were Harold and Ward. I loved them so very much. So I think one problem that the season had as well is a little bit of pacing issues, and I don't know, there were some jumps of logic in like certain character stories that didn't make so much sense. However, I feel like this season took everything that the first season set up and just went 10 times over it and made it just a smoother story from start to finish. I really like every character's story pretty much, and the way all the kind of main characters and side characters' stories all kind of intermingled together and maybe started separate at first but then connected and then maybe separated later. The way it strung it all together was really well done. There's only kind of one sort of storyline in this season that's separated from the main story, and that is Ward and a character that he's kind of interacting with throughout the season. And there's kind of one point where that character kind of crosses over the rest of them. It's kind of comically unnecessary, actually, but other than that, and I mean, I still really like that storyline. It just didn't really connect with the others, which is fine. But overall, I really enjoyed what they did with the characters. So Colleen was a character I didn't love in the first season. It's hard to say because I haven't really watched that season, and I don't remember exactly the reasons why, but I just don't think there was anything that was terribly gripping, and it's been a complete 180 on this season. Even from the first episode, I was a big fan of Colleen. I really liked her story the whole way through. I thought Danny Rand, the Iron Fist, was even better this time around. I still think there's a couple of times, I don't know whether it's acting or script, where it didn't work fully, but they were very minimal compared to the first season. I love that they did 10 episodes instead of 13. I think that fixed a lot of the pacing. Because of that, there is a couple things that missed out. Like the first season had a lot with Rand Enterprises and like the business aspect of it, and you really only get a couple like brief mentions of that this season. I think if it was 13 episodes, they probably would have gone into that. But yeah. I think even though I liked that stuff in the first season, I think it was to its benefit to drop it and just kind of focus on what they did focus with. Obviously Davos comes back from first season. He's kind of the only character that I have a couple problems with in terms of like, I really enjoyed him on screen, and I mentioned to Travis at one point he's kind of like a walking thesaurus, and I kind of said that jokingly, but I generally do like what he's saying, what he's talking about, and the fight scenes around him. I think I just had a couple problems with what his plan is, what his intention are. Just I don't know. I'll talk about that in more detail later. They introduced another sort of villain with Mary and Walker, and I thought that was well done as well. I really liked that aspect of it, how it tied to the main story. like I mentioned in the first season, Ward and Harold were my two favorite characters. Harold's not around any longer, but Ward, once again, I just love like every scene with him. I just found like he's the one I'm laughing the most. He's the one that I'm like the most emotional based on what's happening. Mm-hmm. He's just such a well done character, and obviously a lot of his character in the first season was tied around Harold, and a lot of what he was doing was in relation to Harold and because of Harold. And they switched that for a new character this season, and then he well that's a voice crack that only happens after we just did another 3-hour podcast before this. But yeah, they replaced that Harold connection with another one in this show, and then there's like he has this really kind of amazing monologue later in the story that kind of talks about that connection that he's had with other people and himself, and talk about that more detail in the full spoiler section. But I really liked his story yet again. There's some unexpected twists in this season that I really enjoyed. Action scenes were a lot better than season 1. Overall, I loved the show. Every episode I thought was interesting. Misty as well is in the show. She's really good in it.
Much better than she was in Luke Cage season 2. Yeah,
I would definitely recommend this season. I think even if a lot of people didn't like Iron Fist season 1, you gotta watch that before you watch this one. Yeah, I would definitely recommend. I love this. It's been like I've been a little down on the Netflix shows lately. Jessica Jones season 2, Luke Cage season 2 were just okay at best. Defenders was awesome, but it had a lot of problems as well. And I really liked Punisher, but yeah, it feels like it's been a long time since there's been a show that I was super positive on. Like I feel like even just after watching this, I'm more positive on this than I was Punisher. So yeah, it really has been a while since I've been so happy with the show. So I loved it. Yeah. I'm excited to talk about it.
No doubt, you keep going.
Travis is still dying over there.
I ate one almond.
Pod Bay fans are gonna love you.
No, and it just.
Are you sure you're not allergic?
I eat almonds every day. Every day.
Yeah, but sometimes allergies is fun. So, Taylor, go ahead.
I really enjoyed the first season a lot, but if I could have it my way, honestly, I feel like this should have been the first season to really hook a lot of people in. I feel like the second season had so many moments that just I was going from episode to episode, and I loved what was going on.
Don't you feel like you need the setups though?
You do need the setups, but I wish they were done in a way that was really captivating and intriguing like this season.
So you just want the quality of the season for the first
There you go, yeah. The quality was up there, and I really like the characters. Like I very much like I'm with you. I liked Harold. I liked Ward. I really liked Ward in this season. Mm-hmm. I liked how he was portrayed and how he felt as a character. I like Danny Rand in this much more too. Like the change in his character you could feel from the first season, and the first season being just kind of this innocent, just kind of chipper, kind of not knowing really what's going on, just finding his place.
Very chipper.
Yeah, and just other characters like Colleen just being her own character like in the first season, but I really liked her in the second season. Thought she was fantastic. And yeah, just like Joy, thought that was very like intriguing, like what they were like doing with like her character after the first season, and yeah, just all the characters. Like Davos, I found to be he was very much an odd character of the bunch, but I found it to be more humorous with what he was going off and doing and his kind of character portrayal.
Humorous?
I found it kind of humorous. Like, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of moments where I was like, oh my god, like this is really wrong. But like a lot of the times where like he's such a buffoon. He's so...
What?
He's a buffoon.
Did we watch the same show?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to tell me in spoilers. I don't know when he did anything buffoon. Like, I think he made stuff out of rage that led to his, like, mistakes that he made in the series, but I don't think he was ever a buffoon.
Oh yeah, he was just a buffoon. He put himself on such a high pedestal, and...
That's not buffoonness, though. That's arrogance.
No, but he had a couple of things he did that were buffooning.
So Captain Marvel's too colorful again.
But he was very arrogant as a character, and I thought that definitely bounced off well for him and Danny Rand. But yeah, no, I thought all the characters were very good. Mary Walker was very much like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on like with that character, but I wasn't opposed to it. I thought she was interesting. But yeah, no, I'm excited to get into spoilers.
Yeah, so I guess, to refer back to the review, I liked it, but I understood, one, everyone's problems with it, and two, was my least favorite at that point as far as all the Netflix show. Defenders, I thought he had improved as far as Finn Jones as Danny Rand, and I remember when we reviewed Luke Cage Season 2, there was that one episode he was in, and that was great.
Yeah.
I think he is good, and as an actor he improves. I still think they have not captured completely the Danny Rand that I'm in love with in the comic books. You see shades of it, but in last season he was a little he was a lot naive, and now they just kind of replaced it with him being angry in this season. That's not just spoilers. The first episode he's talking about how angry he is. So that's what I kind of dislike, and maybe that will change in Season 3 when you talk about that, but in the first 2 seasons, like, okay, this guy's kind of a little whiny in the first season, now it's like, okay, now he's just really angry. I kind of do want the fun-loving Danny, and I've always said this, that I do wish the Netflix shows would stop all trying to be so dark. You know, I think Daredevil should, I think Jessica Jones should, I think Punisher should, but I always thought Luke Cage and Iron Fist should try to go a bit more lighter. I think they do that at times, but I don't think they do that enough, so that's just like kind of the same thing as Season 1. Characters in this, let's start off with a negative. Joy is better than last year, but she's still not a great character, but they do some things to help, but there's just certain moments where it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, Ward is the best part of the show. There's certain scenes in the show that I wouldn't be half as interested in if it wasn't for Ward. I love that actor. I'm really disappointed he's actually in this, because while I was watching this, I just look at him like, man, that guy would make a great Norman Osborn, really, you know? Like, that's what I think about him, and so it kind of sucks he's stuck in this, but he's great. He's a scene stealer, and I love that they developed this.
You could be in the Sonyverse.
That's true. It could happen. They developed this great, like, kind of bromance between him and Danny, and it's awesome. Especially last season, they were kind of at odds, and they were slowly becoming friends, but there's clearly a lot of trust issues there, and Ward didn't really like him. That's kind of the strength of the show. The strength of the show to me is like when Colleen and Misty's together, and then Ward and Danny are together. That's when they're the strongest. Colleen, I liked last season. She still is the same, if not she's better, just because I like the storyline they have going with her. Misty was great. I love the storyline they got going. The romance aspects were good with Danny and Colleen. I think their chemistry is good, but I don't think it's anything that sets the world on fire, like kind of maybe some love scenes or romantic scenes. I don't think it's like, wow, like these feel like a couple that could never be apart. I feel like it's sometimes just almost like friends kind of messing around sometimes, and I think they're trying to portray that more, and they haven't hit that, but it's not awful. It's just not the greatest. Taylor, you can talk about it in the spoilers. Taylor messaged me and he was so surprised how many sex scenes there was. He's like, what am I watching, a porn? I'm like, there's only been 3 sex scenes. And
sex scenes? I don't remember any sex scenes.
There were quite a few at the
beginning. We're watching the same show.
No, you guys watched it in shows. Yeah, pacing was good. I think the 10 episodes really helped, because I remember watching, this was for the first time I didn't binge it overnight because of Spider-Man. I finished Spider-Man starting the day, and I remember I had to go to sleep and then watch the next half the next day. And I remember actually being excited to, you know, where the first Iron Fist was kind of a slog. Jessica Jones was a huge slog this year. Luke Cage I still think was fun. I never thought Luke Cage was like a slog, but it would definitely, I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to get the next episode. This, I had moments of that, and that didn't happen much in Iron Fist Season 1. And yeah, I would not put it, I would nowhere put it near with Dylan on his camp as far as the Punisher hype train. Punisher, I think, is tied with Daredevil as far as being, not tied, it's definitely in second, but it's Daredevil 1, 2, and then that. I think this is under Jessica Jones Season 1 for me. For me to go Daredevil 2, 1, Punisher, Jessica Jones, and then this. Because I really, well,
it's
from an enjoyment, I would put this above Luke Cage, but I still think from a writing standpoint, the first season of Luke Cage is better and smoother. Yes, it got a bit more boring, but it made more sense, and there were times in this where the writing and some character stuff either it was not sloggy, but I didn't care, or they kind of, Iron Fist suffers from sometimes just having these plot holes that just happen, and like, oh, we're just gonna move forward, you know, or certain characters will be really motivated about wanting something, and then the next scene they're like, oh, why did I do this? And you're like, okay, for 5 episodes this has been building, and all of a sudden it's like, now I don't want to do this. It's like, doesn't make much sense. And I didn't mention the cast. Yeah, Typhoid Mare was a great addition. She added this like element of unpredictability. The whole time you never know what was going to happen. I thought Alice Eve was a great addition to the cast. So, and action, big step up from last year also, because that was a big complaint. And they had every right to. And plus, Finn Jones only had like a few months prepared. He got more time to prepare. I liked the action set pieces. And yeah, and as far as Davos, I thought he's a really good villain. I think he might be third for me. I think it's like Kilgrave and Fisk, and then he might be third. I loved him. And I loved at one point, it kind of had the Killmonger thing of I was agreeing with him at some points. And it wasn't a classic comic book thing like, oh, I'm just going to destroy Harlem, I'm going to destroy New York. They gave it some layers, and at some points he had like a purpose, and it felt like his journey was warranted. Like, oh, this guy could almost be the hero of the show. Obviously, he's the villain, so I'm sure you can guess it takes a turn. But for a while, I was like, he's not doing anything wrong. You know, like, he's doing exactly what Frank Castle does, you know, like, and then it was a really fun question to pose to it. And then my last point is the finale was really strong, which Marvel sometimes has a problem sticking the finales. I think Daredevil and Punisher, again, have done them well. But even Jessica Jones Season 1, I remember that finale feeling a bit... it took a little too long, and most other finales have always been disappointing. Even Defenders, I really enjoyed it, but I remember still kind of feeling a little left down on it. I was with action, but I really want to watch Defenders again, because I like it a lot more than other people. I think just because I like the cast together. But yeah, those are my non-spoiler thoughts. I would recommend it if you liked the last season. If you didn't, you could give it a shot, but I'm not sure. Maybe just watch the Ward stuff if really that's all you care about.
Big Ward.
Mm-hmm. Spoilers?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. We are going to spoiler. We're gonna spoil Iron Fist Season 2. I don't know where. First, let's just get this out of the way. Sex scenes. There was Ward at the very first episode. He slept with that girl, and then Davos has that sex scene with the artifact lady.
I don't know. I don't really consider that a sex scene.
I agree, but
okay. Well, that was a sex scene. She was going up and down.
This is the key. Well, it was very quick and brief. It was like
the Ward sex scene. That's full on.
And I'm sure you're counting like Colleen and Danny when they're getting in the bed together and everything like that.
I don't know, but I can't remember that.
Well, what is the third then?
Well, it's gotta be that's the third, right? I don't know why I can't remember it.
I thought that's what it was, because it's technically like a scene where they're about to have sex, but I mean...
They were all early on in the show.
I just assumed Taylor doesn't watch many shows and movies with sex scenes, so you were very caught off guard.
Well, you know, not every Dark Knight movie has a sex scene in it, you know?
Yeah, I just feel like the type of, I don't know, movie, but that's why one day, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get Taylor Field to watch Shame, and you're going to see the most shocked review of all time. It's where Michael Fenner plays a sex addict, and there's some...
Oh, right.
There's some...
He drops it out.
There's some great stuff.
Remind me, you never talk about Batman's you-know-what in the comic. You told me to mention that.
On the newscast. I'm talking about Batman's
next
here.
Newscast.
You know what we're talking about? I want to talk about Davos first, because Dylan's points, and then also I want to get into why Taylor thinks he was a buffoon. So...
Yeah, I'm really curious on the whole buffoon point.
Yeah.
Let's start there, actually. Tell us why Davos is a buffoon.
And then I'm going to counter you.
Well, first of all, I don't know why he was making such a big hissy fit about sleeping with this girl when he understood the terms of, like, trying to engage in, certain acts to acquire what he needed to acquire. I feel like,
but that's
it wasn't
not
compromising his beliefs or anything.
Yeah, it is.
It does. That was the problem, is that it went against his beliefs, right?
His beliefs is not... Yeah, his beliefs is not having sex.
Well,
he's never had sex before, so it was a big deal.
Well,
I can't say that for sure.
I don't think it's happened unless it's with Danny. I don't think it's happened.
Yes.
So.
Well, I don't know. I felt like through most of it, like you say, like you could feel justification for what he was doing, and maybe there was the odd time I feel okay. He feels like it's his right, it's a birthright or whatever. But a lot of the time, I just felt okay. He's a buffoon because he's just an idiot in how he thinks. Like when Joy was calling him on his shit, he can't go out. Be killing these people when he needs to, make an alliance or offer that protection for nothing in return. He's being so stupid and compromised about his decisions. That's why I call him a buffoon.
No, that's where I disagree with you, because if he's a buffoon, then the Punisher's a buffoon. Because to a point, so this thing, I won't agree about him taking the fist. That's him, okay, clearly he lost to Danny, which I really like the flashback episodes of them showing them younger together. Yep. I think that almost was needed in Season 1.
The Season 1 had a serious lack of Kunlun.
Kunlun. Yeah. Kunlun. So that's the thing, like, I think that wasn't even Season 1, because Davos is like 2 episodes and you're supposed to really care about him. So Thing is, so he takes the fist. Okay, that's a bad guy thing. Yeah, he doesn't deserve it. He lost to Danny, blah, blah, blah. But at the start, once he got the fist, he's just going around killing criminals.
No, I don't have a problem with that. He's just doing what he thinks is right. That's fine.
Yeah.
But a huge point for me as a buffoon, when he gets to that restaurant owner and he's trying to offer like a piece or whatever, and ends up just killing him anyways. Granted, it's because he's a bad guy, but I just think he's just a buffoon. He was trying to take Joy's advice.
At that point, he's losing control,
he's
right?
Overcome with anger.
And he's really off the charts in terms of his sanity level at that point, right?
And that's why I think he shouldn't be losing like control. Like he is. I don't know why he should be so angry, because he's taken out so many street thugs. He's training these new students of his. He's got things established for himself, and yet he's got the Iron Fist as well. But he's losing his mind and acting like an idiot over some shopkeeper who's just questioning it and is unsure.
But one, he's not really acting like an idiot because he's already killing people, so he's already criminal. Doesn't matter if they're criminals, he's already criminal. He has already in his life been denied what he wants so many times, specifically the Iron Fist, that he doesn't want to be denied anymore. So now that he has the Iron Fist, he feels like he can now do anything he wants, and if someone's going to get in his way, he's going to tear that down. I don't think buffoon is the right word. Buffoon is somebody like a Turk or like somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. He knows what he was doing in that moment. He just was wrong about it. A buffoon is not like Alan in the Hangover series.
You have to think about Davos too, and like his life story, right, and like where he's come from, the world he's lived in. And the world he comes from is where you have like a problem or you need to achieve something, you fight for it, right? You go like for a duel, but then Joy was talking to him about, you know, this diplomacy aspect of it. If he wants to make a long-term change, he has to you know, appeal to the public and make connections and stuff like that. And so when he went to that guy and tried to have what he felt was a really generous offer and conversation with him, and the guy just totally denied him. That just set him right back into the what he knows of just I have to fight. Yeah. And so obviously he wasn't really trained in Shanlong. What is the place called?
Kunlong.
You're getting
Shanlong's the dragon.
Yeah. You're getting further and further away as we.
Obviously I don't think they necessarily teach that, but Davos also throughout his life has built up lots of anger. A lot of that comes from Danny Rand and what happened between them, and also, you know, losing his family. We see like the connection he had with his mom and the kind of feeble connection he had with his father. Like, he's a very rage-filled guy. So I think it was all those things that culminated into that moment where he was just being denied in what Joy was suggesting he do in order to better the community, and then he just went back into what he knows works, which is I'm going to kill this guy, or at least he thinks it works.
Did anyone get incestuous vibes from him and his mom?
No.
Okay, I think it was a thing. There's a few lines that were said when he said something like, if I get this power, I can really show you how much I love you and everything like that. I know it might have been referring to the fist, but there's a few...
He's a dirty guy.
It's very popular in pop culture right now. And like Game of Thrones really suppressed it. I don't know, watch that scene. There's just some things that were said that I don't think you say to your mom. I really don't. And it was just like, that's just something I read into it, so...
But it's, you know, their culture, you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
How long?
And then, so with him killing people, that's what I liked was, because I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Also, when he kills the restaurant the owner, was when I was like, okay, he's just clearly a bad guy now. But for 2 to 3 episodes, I was wondering if they were going to have that shoe drop, because when they were just going around being like, oh, he's killing all these people and we got to stop him, blah, blah, blah. Then I was like, they have no reason not to ever go after Frank Castle in any of these shows. Because he was, for 2 episodes, he was just the Punisher. He was just going around taking out gangs and taking out criminals. And I was like, and that's what I was saying, that was the Killmonger effect of like, okay, I understand it's not the right methods, but I understand where he's coming from. And I like that he's trying to clean up the neighborhood. Obviously, then he gets too power strucken, but I liked that. I liked his back and forth with Joy when they were good and bad. Joy we can talk about later. But and yeah, I like that him and Danny were always at odds, but they had a sense of honor towards one another. Obviously, the dinner episode's one of my favorites when they try to throw this dinner, and that's really good. Like when they have.
You like those kind of things in movies when there's like a party, like in Avengers: Age of Ultron, or like a dinner scene.
Because they're character based. That's why for me, I guess that's why I understand. It's all different strokes for different folks, right? I understand why everybody was so pissed last year about the action, but for me, it's always character stuff, you know. So for me, I'm gonna take a dinner scene. I'm gonna take 2 characters talking. My favorite scene of all time is just Batman and Joker talking in investigation room, or interrogation room. That to me is much more exciting than seeing someone get punched. It's seeing the actual characters
Yeah.
involved, and that was good because then you see Davos like struggling at the dinner. Kind of almost seems like they might be getting through to him and Joy a little bit, but they're very reluctant and they leave. So I really liked Davos this whole season. I'm glad he's not dead, and I hope he comes back. And he was one of my favorite villains. I thought the actor wise, I'm not sure about your rating for the source. I'm sure you could bring that up, but I thought he was written really well. I liked his connections with those young students and how he was just very off the cuff and very. You could see him descending into madness, and I really enjoyed him. I thought the actor did a phenomenal job as well.
Yeah, I do think his development made sense, and I like that we got the backstory on him. And his initial intention to take back the Iron Fist is obviously kind of hinted at the end of season 1 there with that awful scene.
Kind of hinted at.
Yeah, I guess he kind of just like, I'm gonna kill him. He doesn't.
And then Joy's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And they I
watched that back today because I was curious like what was said in that scene, and I was like, man, I hope he didn't say kill, and Joy was on board with that because that kind of sucks. But
doesn't he, or does he destroy?
He does say, he specifically says kill.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, I remember why that was such a bad scene.
Mm-hmm. Still a bad scene, and it felt like they tried to retcon it in the season, but it's still, like when we talk about Joy, it's still like, you can't come back from that.
Anyway, Davos. So his intention for wanting to take the Iron Fist, it does make a lot of sense, and we see that from a couple scenes. So one, he feels like he maybe got cheated in that fight. Mm-hmm. Danny kind of used like the sunlight in his eyes, which is a classic what we call it, John, an excuse in Melee for like, oh, the sun was in my eyes, I couldn't like see, all this. Anyway, so he kind of blames it on like, that's one reason, and then we also see that maybe his dad called the match too soon before it was done. Mm-hmm. And so all this makes sense, and he still feels like he deserved to, be the one to fight Shenlong the dragon and earn the Iron Fist himself. So all of it makes sense of why he wants to go get the Iron Fist, and all of that is fine. I like that part of it. What doesn't make sense for me is when he gets the Iron Fist, it doesn't make any sense to me why he gives two shits about New York and why he's here fighting gangs. It makes no sense to me at all because
there's no Kunlun. What's he gonna do?
Kunlun is gone, but clearly we've seen already, in the last scene in this show, that Danny and Ward are off. There's still like people, to do with that world.
Yeah.
And you would think, I don't know, maybe Kunlun was just some completely isolated place, and the people who were raised there knew nothing of the outside world. And I guess that's possible, but I would like to think that there was, I don't know, maybe a little more depth to it, and it wasn't just this place that lived completely opposite of the rest of the world. And I don't know, I feel like he'd be better off going back around that area. Maybe there's something more noble quest he can do.
But I think that's something that they kind of reveal at the end of the season. It seems like that Kunlun has a lot of connections to the outside world.
It does. So once again, why is he just fucking around in New York just killing criminals, right?
Well,
that's the part that I just understand. I don't understand why he cares about New York. It doesn't make any sense why he would feel, okay, now that I have the Iron Fist, this thing I've been trying to achieve for so long, why now I'm just gonna kill some criminals in New York just like Danny was doing, right?
Well, as soon as
because it wasn't the only reason Danny was protecting New York, at least at this point, or why he was doing what he's doing, is because
protect my city.
Yeah, protect my city. It comes from Daredevil, this other character connection. Obviously, he went back to New York for different reasons. That was season 1, but I mean, the development of Davos, it all makes sense. I just don't understand why he's there.
Well, no, I agree. That's a good point.
As soon as he got the Iron Fist, he just immediately started beating up criminals. He went for when he took one of those criminals, he's like, where are the other criminals?
Yeah.
And that's just where he started his quest, because that's obviously just where he decided to make his home base and just go from there. Obviously, I don't know, he probably could have had other aspirations or something like that, but
that's the thing, right? That is. You are right, that's exactly what he did. But I feel like that character should have had some other goal or aspiration. And it made sense for the sake of this story why he would be in New York, because that's where the rest of these characters are, that's where the rest of the story is going on. So it all makes sense. It just the way I feel like the intention of the character, I don't know. I feel like if he's been working his whole life to become the Iron Fist, I don't think he would spend it defending New York.
Well, it goes to show he doesn't obviously know more about what's going on because he knew about that shipment with the other Iron Fist body in it. So he does know about other.
But he got that shipped to New York, didn't he?
Well, it was being shipped through like the Triads or the Hatchets or something like that, and he raided it.
Okay.
It wasn't originally his. He just.
Okay, well, where did it get sent from? Because I feel like that's maybe.
Well, that's the end of the season. Yeah, it's the cliffhanger.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that's what he should have been interested in, though, right? Like, wouldn't that make more sense?
To me, I took it he was so short-sighted that his whole life, yeah, he talks about Kunlun, but now after Danny got the Iron Fist, he just cared about getting the Iron Fist, and that was such a goal that once he got it, he didn't really have much plans after. And to me, I took him staying in New York cleaning up was like, oh, I'm gonna do what Danny couldn't do. And I took it as like another, and I don't even think they maybe specifically wrote that good enough to be his full motivation, but that's the way I took it was he's staying there because Danny wants to clean up the streets, he hasn't, so I'm going to do it better than him because he's just obsessed with doing everything better than Danny. I agree with you, you made some good points that they could have stressed that a lot more and dived into it, but they didn't.
No, that's good, I like that
yeah.
solution to it, I think it works.
It works, yeah. It's, if you put your own little narrative on it, you know, sometimes you gotta do that with shows.
Yeah, that's just when I was watching the show.
Taylor gets through it all the time.
yeah. That, just as I was watching the show, even though I was enjoying every time he was on screen, I always had that back in my head, like, what are you doing here, Davos? I feel like you gotta be doing something else.
Yeah.
However, yeah, I mean, I thought his dialogue was, for the most part, like, interesting, just... I didn't write down any quotes and I can't write them off because he was using some pretty crazy words. But I don't know, it was just fun. I really liked his dynamic with Joy. I thought that was really interesting to see, and obviously her story obviously takes a complete different turn than what she was doing in the first season.
Yeah, are you guys done with Davos? You want to talk about Joy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just because you're on or you're transitioning.
I have a bunch of random notes, but we'll get to them at some point. So.
Yeah, I do too. I got random quotes and stuff like that. But yeah, so notoriously, I think Joy is the worst Marvel Netflix character of all time. I think she's improved, but I still think she's that. Because again, for the entire first half of the season, she was all fine with taking Danny Rand out. And the second Danny Rand gets his fist taken away, she's like, oh, I don't know if I should have done that. And then she just does a complete 180 of like, other than with Ward, I think the best stuff with her is the stuff that they did with her and Ward. I thought that relationship was natural and that build up to her finally kind of accepting the apology and accepting him back in his life. I thought that was all well done. But her stuff with Mary, her stuff with Colleen, they didn't have much interaction, but her stuff with Danny and Davos, I thought interactions were good, but her motivations again are all over, and she next season needs to do something that's just for her, not tied to someone else. Obviously last year was tied to Ward and everything he did, and then there was this thing of like, yeah, I'm going to kill Danny, and again, they tried to explain it that like, oh, once Danny came to my life, everything went to shit. The way they retconned it, she made it more mad that she was mad that Danny also lied to her, but they didn't do that last season. She just said, oh, because Danny showed up, I was mad. But even then, the reasons for literally wanting to ruin this guy's life to me were pretty thin. I get the lying about your dad, so it made it a bit better, but then when she just turned on a dime again, the motivation, I don't know. I don't think the actress is bad. It's not that. I don't even think she's written poorly. I think it's just, like, the way she speaks. I think just her motivations, they don't know what to do with this character unless she's with Ward. Other than that, they just don't know, and maybe that's... I don't know how I feel about connecting her to Mary next season, because also they're going to have some back and forth, and I don't know, again, is she going to be tied to another character where always her motivations are just, oh, because this character is doing A, I got to do B, like, give her her own storyline, or just write her out. I'm fine with that, but yeah, I think she was better than last season, but she still has those moments where it doesn't make sense, and just a bad character.
I liked Joy a lot more in the first season than you did, and I would agree with pretty much what you said with her here, and that I think she's even better. I once again, I really liked the character. I think it's hard because if you look back to season 1, that scene with Davos at the very end is still like, it's very breaking for like any sort of semblance of that character. However, if you look at it in this season alone, because when I was watching this, I couldn't remember exactly what that conversation with Davos was, and I was like, okay, he probably just said like, hey, I want to get this Iron Fist, and she's like, yeah, you can do that. He does unfortunately say, I'm gonna kill him, and she was okay with that. So that kind of sucks.
But then even in this season, he doesn't even want to kill him.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is that scene is just really bad, and I wish it didn't exist. But in terms of Joy in this season and her story, I think there is a fair progression of her starting out and helping out Davos. And at first, it's cool because the character of Mary, we get a couple glimpses of her, in Mary form, and she's talking with Dany, and we don't know at that point that Joy is connected with her. And I like that story of her helping Davos out. Obviously, if there is that kicker that he wants to kill Dany, I think it is a bit too far for what she would want. But I mean, obviously, he doesn't want to kill Dany anymore, so whatever. I'm just gonna believe that he didn't actually want to kill him or something. But
just a figure of speech.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes you just gotta go with either ends of the spectrum.
They meant just like his career, not him. That's it.
But in terms of her, having disregard for Dany, it does make sense. Obviously, she was always just bothered with what he was doing with the business, but mainly it was the Herald thing and how he kept that from her, and obviously that's even tenfold because of Ward. And I really like that dynamic throughout the season of her just completely trying to stay away from Ward and not wanting anything to do with him. And then there's, they kind of have like a little bit of connection near the end, but still it's like, okay, Ward, I need to be separate from you. And he accepts that finally kind of at the end of the season. So I thought that was a well done story. I thought she was just more interesting like on screen this season. I think she had a little bit more bite, and I felt like she had a little more personality. She had more kick to her. And
very leather to show that she's a bad guy.
Very leathered. So I liked that as well. And the stuff with Mary. I mean, I thought the Mary and Walker character was obviously very mysterious. It didn't take me too long before I realized there was like there was some sort of mental illness, multi-personality thing going on. But obviously there's kind of more layers that develop all the way until the end, and there's kind of even a little bit of a cliffhanger as to like what her character is going to become in the future. Obviously she still has something to do with Joy, but also she maybe has like more than just these two characters going on in her head. So
I like that. Before I forget it, I just didn't like the reason they didn't really give Mary/Walker a reason to stay. She was just like, I'm just gonna hang around you, Joy, and everything like that. And then she was just
I think she's doing that to, I don't know, obviously Joy, I mean, has a distinct connection to Dany and Ward, and just through any of them, like, there's a lot of access to a lot of power, a lot of money there. So
yeah, just the way I understood that's what they were going for, but the dialogue they were giving her, like, she just says that one line, just like, oh, you could be useful. But then I wish you talked a little bit more about that. And then for me, it's like, you should be on the run right now. Everyone's looking for you, everything like that. Like, you are a bad person, and I don't know. It felt a little strange. It didn't feel like she needed to stay there. So
I mean, that is true. She did lock up Misty and throw her in a cell. So clearly, she's not a fan of the police either. So,
but maybe like Joy's last scene last season, it'll just be retconned next season, and Mary will just be kind of around. Because I don't actually know what Joy and Mary can really do together. I don't know how exciting of a team up that is, and how much a dynamic that is. So.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not really. Doesn't really feel like much of a team up because it's very one sided.
Well, by force, it's like Harold Ward team up.
Yeah, true. What else on Joy? I had something to say, but I can't remember it. So go ahead, Taylor.
I don't have too much to add on her. I think overall I didn't mind her at all. I really liked her scenes with Ward. I love the scene actually when Ward just started to break and said like there were so many times like when like Dad would like hit me and like abuse me, like just when he confessed and opened up to her completely. I thought that was a really powerful scene, and I like the relationship between the two of them, and I liked how you could tell that there was just something off about her from the moment she's just introduced into season 2. I thought it was really, really good. I couldn't tell for a little bit of time whether or not she was starting to turn good or she was continually just being bad and working with Davos, but I really liked when she kind of switched sides, ended up finding the bull and getting that kid to take the bull to Dany, Deliverance. So overall I liked her. I thought she was good.
I did think the transition into her, turning back to the good side was warranted. I felt like they built up to it and it made sense, and I like that even when she does, she's not just like oh, I love you guys, like, let's team up and we're all good. Like, I like that she's still, I want nothing to do with you guys. Save Danny because it was the right thing to do, but I'm fucking out of here now. And she's not out of here because Mary has her on a short leash, walker rather. But yeah, it was a joy.
Danny?
Yeah. The young Danny Rand.
Yeah, I don't think I have too much to add to him from my opening statements because I feel like he gets sidelined a lot in the season, and I don't know if that's a story version or like a story reason, or if they did that because some fans are the biggest fan of him, so they kind of made a show about. I feel like the show about Iron Fist now is about the idea of the Iron Fist instead of just Danny Rand, because I feel like Davos and Colleen get just as much screen time as him. And I can see, like, I've seen some people say that he's not the most interesting part of the show, and I would agree with that because I think Ward and Colleen are more interesting, and that is disappointing for me because I love Danny Rand, so I'm kind of hoping. I think next year he might get a chance to be interesting, but like I said in the opening, that I feel they just replaced him with being angry, and I get that, but I don't know if I needed that. I would just like him just being the protector of the city. And I guess he could talk about the weight of being Iron Fist, but I don't think he needs to be angry to have that weight on him. So I think he does a good job of what he has. I just think the writing of his character is still not the strongest. I think it's getting better over time, but again, I still wish that he'd be more the fun-loving Danny Rand, like he was in Luke Cage or Defenders, and even then he wasn't like fucking like a MCU Avengers guy. But I wish, and maybe they can't do that, him leading the show, so that's why I always wish they did Heroes for Hire instead. But yeah, I like Danny enough. I think I defended him a lot last year because I think everyone was like, oh, he's really bad. I was like, oh, he's good.
I listened to the cast recently. You were a big Danny defender.
Like, I was big Danny.
Very big. And
that's where, to me, the reverse is where the expectations are, like, for me, it was like, everyone was like, oh, he's so bad. When I watched it, it was like, no, he's fine. But now it's still the next year, it's like, he's just better than fine. Like, I think... Again, I still think there's a good Iron Fist there. I think it's just writing. I really do. Because that Luke Cage episode, he's so good. And then that's who I want. Like, I can't remember some of the quips. Like, he said something to Luke when he's like, oh, he says, like, I'm really emotional. And he's like, well, Claire told me to say that, so I just said it. Like, he can be charismatic. And that's the thing that upsets me. And sometimes he has some fun interplay with Colleen. So, I don't know. I guess this Iron Fist is just, he's going to be kind of dark and dreary, which I just don't love, but I still think there's a chance that he could be a great Iron Fist one day, and hopefully that'll happen next season. Obviously they leave him in a place where he's a lot more confident. Also, we haven't talked about the big plot point that he actually does lose Iron Fist, and then Davos gets it, and then Colleen gets it, and then the show ends with him having 2 Iron Fists, and then the Iron Fist of guns, which is very strange because that's not his power, that's someone else's power. So, and they set up that person. Orson Randall's a big character who they set up. He's a guy that was actually training Danny Rand's dad in the comic books. And he won a big tournament, almost like a Mortal Kombat style like tournament, to get the Iron Fist, and then he trained Danny Rand and kind of passed it down to him. And his whole big thing was with the guns, he could move bullets. So I was kind of surprised they kind of gave to Danny Rand. So I think that's an idea of Orson Randall's role might not be the exact same, but I'm hoping now, he at the end of the season ended it with like kind of a smile and like, oh, so powerful and cocky. I hope he's not too arrogant next season, but I hope he's just cocky and, like I said, don't have a big over-the-top emotion. Because I kind of felt, when we saw him in Defenders and Luke Cage, she was going to be more, not normal, but not be like, I'm angry. And now this was like, I'm angry, where last season he was like, I'm confused. So I don't want to be, I'm something, I just want to be, I'm Danny Rand, so, yeah.
I really liked his development this season. Still, like I said in the opening, there are some writing problems and sometimes acting. It's hard for me to say with the acting because I've never seen him in anything else, so it's hard for me to compare to what his other roles are like. But I thought his story was good, and there was a lot of rage in this season. But I think that was, I don't know, I think it was well placed because in this season we get a lot of maybe not a lot, but we get a few scenes of showing Danny and Davos and then growing up alongside each other. We see them at various ages, growing up and training in the life they were leading. And obviously, Davos is a rage-filled character, and so is Danny. And just living their whole life striving to get that Iron Fist, that's clearly something that leads into both of them having that. And obviously fighting that dragon, I don't know what it is, but he inherited some of that rage, and so did Davos when he took over the Iron Fist as well. And I like that that's an aspect that is a comparison between those two characters and how they've grown up together, and obviously the competitive edge. So it all makes sense to me and works. And I mean, yeah, I don't know the quippy fun Danny Rand, so I don't have that sense of comparison. But as for his story, I really liked it, and I loved the turn into him deciding that the best option for him was to not take the fist back. I thought that was a huge twist. I was not expecting that at all, and I like that they went through with it, and that's why maybe I don't love the 6 months later scene. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But a couple other things. I liked at the start of the season, the first couple episodes, he's a delivery guy, which I don't know, isn't all that exciting, but I liked his friend that he was hanging out with, Albert.
Yeah.
I don't know, they just had like fun little scenes together. I guess the relationship between him and Colleen is, I don't know, it's kind of a weird relationship, but they're kind of aware of that. They comment on that. Like,
yeah.
Obviously Colleen has that one quote where like there's nothing more dreadful to her than date night. And I like their relationship, and I like the he's like mortally injured, and then he goes back to his training, and he has that segment with Colleen, and they go back to the cage that Colleen's to fight in, and
that was a good
he has
scene,
to learn a lesson, and she's trying to teach him about his emotions, and it's like a very amped development that leads right into his decision that like I don't want this Iron Fist anymore. It's not good for me. So once again, it's the 6 months later. It's the same, same thing as Iron Fist season 1. Like the last scene just kind of throws it all for a loop.
I'm surprised by that. I don't have because I feel like that is a good cliffhanger for next season. It also gives people that may be purists of like
I just feel like it undoes a lot of the development he had throughout the season, doesn't it?
I don't think so, because obviously it's 6 months later, so it showed that. Because one, it might be a case of
so he's like a different guy now. Okay, well I want to see that, right? That's why I want to watch the show, to see the character develop. I just watched this whole 10 season arc of this character, and it's just undone in 15 seconds like that. Yeah. That's disappointing for me. I didn't like that at all, and I thought the guns were. I mean, I guess we're just jumping that right now because I want to talk about it now. But I just thought it was very cheesy. His smile, he just whips out these guns. He's like using mind bullets. Oh man, it was so dumb. Like, and now he has 2 Iron Fists. Like, what? This is stupid.
Well, Davos did have 2 Iron Fists as well. Remember?
Did he? I don't know.
Yeah,
I never saw him use both at the same time.
He did, yeah. I can see where you're coming from. I can't say you're wrong. I guess for me it was one, I like the confirmation of, okay, Danny still does have the Iron Fist, and I took it as one, either there was some journey where he got that back.
I thought it was a very bold decision for the people running the show to say, hey, we're going to take one of our 4 main characters here that was in Defenders, we're going to take away his powers and give it to another character. I thought that was an incredibly bold decision of them.
They still did that.
No, but they just undid it, right?
No, they did, but they didn't undo Colleen. Colleen still has.
But they undid it in the same episode, or the next episode.
No, I mean, like, Colleen's still going to have her Iron Fist, right? I know.
But it's not bold anymore.
I see what you mean.
It undoes...
I don't think the show could be that bold, though, because I don't know what they would do with Danny without the Iron Fists. And for me, I guess
the season could be him getting it back.
I agree. There could also be a way that the next season, whatever they have planned, he may need these Iron Fists. And the other thing is, I also took it that maybe he didn't earn the Iron Fist back, that it's just because he got the Iron Fist the true way that he can't really get rid of it. But I can't say you're wrong at all, because you're right. It would have made more sense to have that end scene, but have him just take out those fools by himself and doesn't have to do the Iron Fist. I think me seeing it with the actual Iron Fist is what got me excited, and them saying Orson Randall got me very excited, so there's fanboy stuff, but I can't say you're wrong.
A couple of particular scenes here. There's one scene where Danny just sits down. He puts on a record and is kind of just recalling the fight he had with Davos, and then it cuts right to the flashback scene, and then I like that it cuts right back to, it's just like the record like on static, like skipping, and it just like shows, I don't know, I guess how lost in thought he was just thinking about that moment. I thought it was a nice little scene.
They added the records because Finn Jones is a big music fan.
Good for him, as everyone should be. The other scene I liked is Danny talking about seeing and fighting, overcoming the dragon. It's a scene with him and Ward, and I thought him talking about that and then Ward relating that to his. I mean, he didn't fight an actual dragon, but he's fought the dragon of his own. Chased the dragon, whatever you want to call it. So I thought that was a nice a scene between the two of them. Yeah, I don't know. You go ahead, Taylor.
Gosh, yeah, Danny. That was a lot. I definitely support the idea of maybe making him be a bitch more, not bitch.
Making him a bitch. Make him a bitch.
Make him a bit more chipper and kind of upbeat in this season. Not as like super chipper as he was in the first season. Obviously, make him a bit, I mean, in the first season.
He was less chippy in that season.
No, I found him. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wanted him to be more chipper in this season, but not as chippy or chipper as he was in the first season.
Chippy? Oh, dude, chippy and chipper mean the same thing.
I'm assuming.
But
because I didn't
he
find him to be
wasn't
super
chippy in the first season though.
I found him to be I found him to be that way because he was just.
So. I thought he was really mopey and whiny.
No, I just found he was very much like confused but chipper and just kind of going with the wind, just kind of free.
Is this the new Taylor word, chipper? Are you just gonna start throwing chipper?
I don't think he was chipper.
It's after 9.
Chipper is meant to be used sparingly.
Yeah.
Look in the dictionary; it says that.
I don't think he was chipper, and I don't think Davos was a buffoon.
It's after 9. It gets crazy. I think I feel like as dark as he was, he could have been a bit more. Not as dark, but obviously maintain that dark tone to his character because of Kunlun being, removed from the equation of his life, and obviously several different factors in his lifestyle totally changing, and obviously he has those anger issues, and he goes to that area and he punches that door because he feels like he's the Iron Fist, but it's like having peanut butter and jam but no bread. What are you gonna put it with? It's just. There's just no. He's the Iron Fist, but he doesn't have that home he's supposed to defend. So he's trying to defend this new home that he's trying to fit back into. But which I like. I like how they did make him dark, but I want him to be a bit more, positive and kind of have a little bit of his old self, like from the first season, or more like what you were saying, how he just needs to be kind of like more charismatic and that sort of stuff. I think I would kind of like to see that a bit more, but. Overall, the Danny Rand that we got in this show, I think it was really good. I think he was pretty cool and pretty awesome. I liked his scenes. I liked his fight sequences. I thought they were all good. I liked his training with Colleen. I liked what he went through with Davos. Like, all the flashbacks were fantastic. I wasn't expecting that, and I loved how every fight with Davos, it was just getting worse and worse, and he was just getting more and more beat up, and I really liked how Davos was about to take down those Triad families, and he still managed to just take him out and one-up him. I just thought that was really cool how Danny was just able to outsmart him in all those instances. But yeah, that end scene, I was not expecting that whatsoever. I love when he invited Ward onto the plane. I really enjoyed that a lot, and
I just don't need a whole season of them just traveling the world. I don't even need any other characters, and that'd be fine.
I loved it when he whipped out the guns and went all Clint Eastwood on them, and it was just. I liked it because it wasn't to kill the guy or anything. It was just to set the message straight and create a statement.
You had to shoot 2 bullets at one, so.
Well, you want to make a statement.
Make a statement. 2 statements.
I knew Taylor's gonna love those guns.
Oh yeah, I texted you or whatever. As soon as I finished it, I was like freaking out. Like, he's got his powers back.
Yep.
Yeah.
One more thing on Danny Davos from me is I like the obviously we finally see the fight that they had to who would get the honor to fight the dragon, and then they have the fight near at the end in the community center, and I like that the right at the end the sun is shining through, and it was a nice callback to that fight scene, just visually.
Let's talk about Colleen. Oh, Bakudo. Yeah, I don't have much to say because she, I can't say she improved. I think she stayed the same, but she's just as good as she was last season. I think I will give it her a bit better because I think that scene with her in the cage with Danny really stands out. I think she's phenomenal in that. And I think where I'll give her a bit better, she gets to be a bit more comedic. Her stuff with Misty is great. I know everyone wants the Daughters of Dragon show, I don't think it's gonna happen. But you get as close as you're gonna get with these episodes. Misty's in it quite a bit. I don't know if we're gonna talk about Misty separately, but I thought she was great. They have great back and forth. But yeah, Colleen is just, she's such a good thing to have for the show. She is kind of like a lead B to Danny's lead A, or if it's a 1A, 1B sort of situation. And she's great, whether it is her fight scenes, whether it's his character. They add some nice little mystery about what's going on with her family, so I like where that could potentially play into season 3. And obviously they played into season 2 because that's why Danny, one of the reasons he thought she should get the fist, because there was that kind of the signs of her family lineage around. So yeah, she's just great. She's a great actress, and yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with her while Danny's off about in the world, while she's in New York kicking ass. And this is what makes me sad about having no Defenders season 2, because I would love to see her interact with other characters as well. But yeah, and I think having 2 Iron Fists in the show might not be a bad thing. It might add to the action, and you know, so yeah, I thought she was great, and I liked everything they did to the character. Obviously, nothing too as personal as actually with Bakuto, but I thought her stuff with Danny was personal enough, and they're gonna lead to something more personal next year, I imagine. So yeah.
Yeah, I liked her separate kind of lifestyle that she was leading in this show. She's just kind of like chilling at the community center, trying to find her way in this world. She's stopped teaching, and I thought the change of Danny convincing her to, you know, become his mentor was a nice change, and it had like a, you know, a long impact, and it kind of changed their relationship forever. And she says that, and it actually, you know, takes place that way, and I thought that was really well done. I found her, I don't know what it was about this season that really had me switch on her, but I liked her just so much more. Yeah,
you were on the bandwagon last year.
Yeah, I thought she was kind of meh in the first season. It's hard for me to give an exact example because it was so long ago I watched the show.
Yeah.
But I think one thing is the Misty scenes, because it's a really cool dynamic to see her opening up in ways that she doesn't feel comfortable doing with Danny, and then I like that Misty kind of reciprocates that. She talks about how, like, you know, you're kind of my closest friend, and she, you know, Misty says, yeah, you too. And yeah, all their scenes where they're just going off, like finding those witches, and they have like that witch fight scene, I thought was really cool. And yeah, just everything they're doing is really fun. Every time they get back and Danny's gone off somewhere else, I just thought, like, she's like, man, she's good. Like, she's a damn good person. Like, she's a really good girlfriend in that sense. Like, she's just, no matter what Danny shits on, or whatever shit, Danny is on.
Oh, Danny shit on the bed again, Misty. God damn, you have any problems with these guys in Ireland like that?
Yeah,
no, I don't.
She can, you know, look the other way because she really cares about him and is obviously really helpful. So, yeah, she's badass, and I love the Iron Fist glowing sword that she had at the end.
Yeah. In the
6 month later scene, I really like that aspect because, you know, she's off just fighting crime, and she's, you know, badass doing it. So
I forget. Does it actually say 6 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just forgot the specifics of it. So when
it was very jarring for me to see that. So I was like, oh.
Because I might forget it, it's on my notes, but I am very much down for, hopefully they do this soon whenever they do Ward and Misty together, because the amount of times they hinted at that, and Misty had like a little crush on me, she just pretty much wanted to jump his bones the whole time, and I just like that. She made like an eye at him, and then when he walked away, she's like to Colin, like, you don't see it? And Colin's like, not at all. So like, I don't know what that is, but I ship Ward and Misty 100%. Whether it's Luke Cage season 3, Iron Fist season 3, I need those people to fuck. So, yeah.
One more thing I just found in my notes here.
And Matt and Jessica.
I like the.
Hey, that's fun. I never even thought about that.
What?
Oh,
that is fun. So Colleen, obviously, when Danny first when he first says, "Hey,
shit's on the mat.
Hey, you're gonna take this Iron Fist," she's like, "Nah, dude, that ain't me. I'm not doing it." And I like that the shift of when she decides to take it is through that scene with Misty, when Misty's talking about you can't save everybody, and it's through that conversation that they have that she decides to, you know, change her mind. And so I like that change came from that friendship that we had seen develop throughout the season, as opposed to, you know, Danny getting through to her or her just blindly agreeing to it. I like that there was a reason, and it was something that built up to it.
For me, Colleen, I liked her in the first season. This one, I feel like she had much more depth added to her. I love the introduction of what her family was about. And it wasn't something that dominated the whole, like, the storyline too. It was introduced, and then it was hinted at again, and then they concluded at the end with it being not just a conclusion, but a whole, like, opening to a whole other thing. I love that they handled it like that. It wasn't this loosely handled thing. Finding out her origin and who she's a descendant of, I absolutely loved. I thought it completely caught me off guard when Dany was like, "You're gonna take over the Iron Fist," and I didn't think she would go through with it. And then when she got half of it, I thought honestly that the excruciating pain of the transfer of the chi or whatever would turn her off from taking on that role, and she would give it back to Dany. But no, they went through with it and she kept it. I love that fight sequence between her and Davos when they both had the fists. I thought that was super
really
cool.
Yeah.
I loved her fight scene and how it was choreographed when she's fighting the three witches. I thought that was fantastic. Just a lot of things about her just really, really, really good in this season. And again, that end scene with her and her sword, her katana, and she's just flowing out. That was like, wow, this
She's
is
just flowing out.
Sick. So good.
Nice.
And I will show this out too. Every time someone would say Colleen, I just hear Colleen.
Colleen.
And in Dylan's voice too, like. Now I'm gonna hear it in your voice too, because you're saying it.
Well,
so
we do it in
consistently.
Bakudo's voice.
Yeah, it's not in my voice.
Colleen.
Now I just do like a parody version of what we
Yeah.
started doing a few months ago. I just go off the chain now.
Colleen. Also, we talked about Bill Ward. We won't talk about it anymore because he's not scared. Then we get some overalls and close this thing out. But yeah, I loved Ward. I knew the second he had a female sponsor, it's like, oh, he's gonna be sleeping with her. And classic Ward thing that's happening. Yeah, right away. I thought they were gonna take a different approach with it than they did, though. I thought they were gonna do that. He was maybe just replacing one addiction with another, but they didn't. They made a relationship with her. I liked her for the most part, actually. I thought I wouldn't, and at first it's like, okay, she's alright. I think when it was steering me wrong is when Dany got stabbed at one point and she just subbed in for Claire. Like, I'm also a nurse.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's just like, oh, okay, because you don't have Claire around anymore. And it also didn't make any sense why they just didn't take him to a hospital.
No, that scene really bothered me.
Yeah, it really bugged me too, because it's like, you could have easily just said he was mugged and so like they had no reason to do this whole ladder like, oh, you gotta get in here, my friend's dying, and like, it was like, no, just take him to the hospital, he's fine.
The thing is too, all she says is like, you gotta stop the bleeding. And it's like, you would think that maybe Colleen, someone who is like a trainer of someone used weapons, like maybe she would have some basic first aid, or maybe Misty, you know, trying to be a captain at the local police, you know, maybe she would have some basic first aid. Ward received a lot of abuse from his father. He's probably patched up a few wounds over the day. Like, I don't know, I just felt like, I guess maybe they were thinking, okay, Ward's gonna bring in this girl, she like knows something about, you know, what we should do here in the long run, but really you would think the first step is maybe let's stop the bleeding and then go from there, and that's all he needed. So
the beginning was some rocky roads with those two, but then at the middle, I liked when they were together more. I liked when she's talking about she couldn't be a sponsor anymore because this was going well. I really liked the bar scene when he was just being a piece of shit.
I love that.
When to her and then to the guy, and he just gets his ass,
fighting.
He keeps getting his ass kicked and he keeps trying, and really, really good scene. All of Ward's scenes are honestly
every
really
single
good.
scene.
Yeah, his scenes with Joy were good, of like at first trying to make a connection again, to apologize, to he gets mad that he kind of gets rejected, so he doesn't do anything to hurt the relationship with Joy, but he's almost trying to make it seem like he's doing backhanded things, right? Like he buys that company for her, he's kind of in her face about stuff, and that doesn't work either way. So then he does at the end finally accept that, okay, you're just gonna be your own woman. So that was good. I'm interested to see what they do with the kid, because I thought for sure she was gonna get an abortion. But at the same time, even though it was very unclear that she said like, oh, we can't be together, it was really unclear if she wanted him in the kid's life or not. She kept saying to do this alone, but then if that's the case, is she just not going to exist at all next season? Which I don't think. So I don't feel like they decided what they wanted to do there. So I was a little lost.
Well, if we skip 6 months ahead, then we got 3 months to go.
Yeah, and to me, that's the one thing I like. Or that's what I didn't understand with her being like, I'll just do this alone. I feel like Ward would even still like he's also gonna financially support her, but I still feel like he'd be like, well, and I know what I would be like. I'd be like, well, it's my kid. I'm gonna stay no matter what and help you out. Like not stay as a relationship, but like for 6 months for him to be gone was a little jarring for me. For her to be pregnant and like that's your kid and like you could still be helping out, going to things, stuff like that. So I thought that how they ended that was a little rocky. It felt like they just wanted Ward to go off with Danny. I like that, but maybe it sounds bad. Maybe they should just got rid of the kid, and then he could have been, well, I gotta go find myself because I lost Joy, I lost a kid. But he was great. His arc was great. Like I said, his bromance with Danny is my favorite part of the show. I think the times when him and Danny are talking, at one point they were had a beer and they were talking about, that's when he was, I think, kind of jokingly talking about fighting the dragon and stuff like that. That's the Danny I want the whole time. And I know he has to be serious at some point, but I mean, I want it to at least a percentage a bit more 50-50, and the anger or the serious Danny not override the friendly, you know, charismatic, kind of fun, chipper Danny. And that's what we...
Chipper.
The best Danny Rands are the scene with Ward, and that's what I want him to be all the time almost. So, yeah, love Ward.
Yeah, I agree. Every scene of Ward is just fantastic. He's so much fun.
I want him to do more. I've not seen anything out of this, and I want him to be in more.
That scene you mentioned earlier, Taylor, of Ward talking about his what the relationship with Harold was like, I thought was nice. There's a lot of that in this season. We're talking about more relationships and characters, and it's more just like building up things that we already saw in season 1, but maybe get a little more depth on. So I like.
Yeah, I think it's been more better written than season 1.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that scene. There's just a little scene where was it exactly? It was so it was somewhere in episode 6 where it was just Ward and Danny chilling at their house. I guess Danny might have been like
I think this is what I'm referring to.
He might have been like knocked out at this point or something. And Ward is just like he's just hanging out, and he's just, you know, they have like those posts in there. It was like the old dojo, and he's just standing there like maniacally, just kind of like slapping this post, and, like hitting this post, and it's just such a Ward thing to do. They're just kind of raging on this post for no reason. I guess that just goes to show I love every little thing that Ward has to do. But
oh yeah, I could take a show for some Ward.
I really could, and I like the relationship he had with that the sponsor.
None of us know her name.
Yeah, I can't.
We watched 10 hours of the show and none of us know.
I feel like they only say the name like twice in the entire show, so it's tricky. Yeah, the ending of it, as you're right, it kind of maybe feels like there needs to be a bit more there, but once again, that's why you don't just skip 6 months without thinking about it. I feel like it was just a last minute, let's just fucking do it, see what happens. I don't feel like there's much thought behind it. It also, yeah, it's kind of a problem for Ward, because I don't know, I feel like she should be in the next season, maybe, a little bit.
Well, if she has the kid, then if they introduced a baby in this show and he just doesn't see the baby all next season, that's awful writing, because then what's the point? Why even do that? You know, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so I don't know, I'd like to see what happens there. I like that Ward goes with Walker to meet up with Turk to go buy some weapons, and I like that he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy this gun, and then when they go, he just like shoots that guy on impact. He's like, oh, I thought it was Damo, sorry. Once again, I love that all these shows have Turk in there at some point.
Yep.
I
know.
All you need him for is a 5-minute scene. It's fun. I like that he's just around doing criminal stuff.
I could still take him more though.
I easily could.
I find him being the Stan Lee of the MCU and Netflix, but I still could take a little more. You know.
Either way, I like that he was still in there. And yeah, I don't know. I want to see more of this adventure with him and Danny. So I'm curious how they're going to tackle season 3. If it's going to be we're going to pick off right from the 6 months later, or if they're going to go back and then show some of the journey. No idea. I mean, they have to explain how he got the fists, obviously.
I honestly think that's why they did the 6 months thing, if I were to break it down, is because they don't have the budget to film in a bunch of places that look like Japan. I guess they could try their best, but maybe that's just the thing of they can't do that, so they're just going to say, oh, we went on this journey.
Clearly, yeah, budget is something that you can see in a lot of these shows.
I think Iron Fist season 3, they'll just be back in New York, maybe the first episode and the first. So I think that's why they did the 6 months thing. Like, oh, we did this journey and found out this stuff. And Orson Randall is actually in New York. Who would have thought? And we did nothing. We did 6 months of looking for him. But
it always happens.
Yep.
Yeah. Once again, Ward is my favorite character. I love this guy. He's the best.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Ward. All his scenes were really, really good. He's just such a unique character and personality, and he's always entertaining no matter what scene it is he's a part of. I didn't mind the stuff with him and his sponsor. I thought actually the relationship is pretty something that could actually lead to something, hopefully, and I'm kind of sad about how it kind of the turn that it took, I guess, at the end of the series or the season, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I hope that they don't just write it off. I hope they do bring it back or touch upon it in season 3.
Yeah.
And especially now that we're 6 months into their whole the pregnancy thing or whatever with her, so hopefully, yeah, I don't want it to be written off. I think it'd just be a waste of time, because I think it definitely adds so much more possibility and development for Ward as a character as well.
Especially she better have a son so they can make the whole Harold and Ward comparisons and kind of be a better father and yada yada.
Yeah.
Which will be fun though because it's Ward. So.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think I'm super excited to see season 3 and see Danny and Ward just kind of off on this adventure together. I think that's going to be fantastic. I'm super excited for it.
What happens if it is though the season starts and they just first episode's them coming back to New York? Because I think that's
be like, okay, Feige, give me my spin-off
Feige doesn't do
show
shows.
On
Yeah, he does.
No, he does.
on the Disney app. Give me one of those anthology shows, Danny and
Oh
Ward.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Loki, Scarlet Witch, and then Ward.
There we go.
Please. That's the world I want to live in.
Anything
That's the
else?
world I want to live in.
Anything else we want to talk about? I have some regular notes.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly talk about Walker / Mary.
Right, yeah.
I really liked the character. That was a fun dynamic, and it was interesting to see what causes her to switch back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I thought it was well done for the most part. There's a lot of at first she's mentioned a bunch of things Sokovia, and I was like, whoa, I'm getting some more flashbacks right now. So
Yeah.
I like that. That was a fun tie-in. It was pretty traumatic to hear what her story was there, and
I think
clearly
that adds
there's
to
setting up
Taylor's-
to.
Yeah, as to Taylor's theory of this being Age of Ultron timeline, kind of around there.
Oh man, it all fits. You're onto it, Taylor.
All fits.
Why is that so funny?
Oh,
Okay.
I was thinking of Baron Z.
But I like the. Is that one of his lines? I like the setup
It
that
all fits
there was
Captain America.
some time when I don't know. I guess there was a bunch of dead guys around her, and she doesn't know where they came from, but it wasn't Walker, but it clearly wasn't Mary, and that's kind of the setup for what is going to be at least the third, maybe more of the personalities. The actress has heterochromia, which means she has 2 different color eyes, and I thought that fit the character perfectly. And I didn't know that before. The only thing I can recall her from is that Black Mirror episode that she's really good in, but I didn't notice that before. So I think that's just a cool, it just fits the character really well. So it's that's really good. That's spot on casting right there.
She didn't have it all the time though. I'm pretty sure because I thought.
Well, no, but she just does though, right?
No, really, but I mean, in the show, I feel like wasn't it when she was married they gave her contacts and she didn't have it?
I don't think so.
Okay, I could be wrong because
it's hard to tell because you have to be really zoomed in. I only noticed it on I think 1 or 2 scenes when it was there was one scene where it was literally just the camera shot was just her entire face, and that's when I noticed it.
Because Emily told me about that, and because when we were watching originally, she's like, oh, they gave her contact lenses. So I think maybe I could be 100% wrong, but maybe that would be a comic book thing to do when Mary she has 2 eyes, and then when she's Walker it's different, right?
It could
be 100% wrong, but just a theory.
That is just a theory.
I'm
But
gonna
no,
go
that was
for it.
cool. I liked. I liked her fight scenes. I liked that she was the one who she had studied and trained to figure out how to take out an Iron Fist. Obviously, she didn't worry about the ritual and figuring out how to transform the power from one another. But I like that she had come up with a way to take them out. And I really like that episode where it starts with. Or maybe it was the episode before it started with Danny getting taken out in the subway, and then it was that was the start of the episode, but then it was also the end of the episode. Yeah, so I thought that was well done pacing wise. One thing that was really weird at one point, the whole team, being Ward, Danny, Colleen, and Misty, lock up Joy and Walker, and they just lock them up in Danny's apartment, and then they all just leave. And they put some minor handcuffs on Walker, nothing on Joy. They just get out in 2 minutes and walk away, and I was like, That was an awful decision.
Yeah.
Like, just the absolute worst decision of all time. So, I thought that was just a very, just flawed logic all around on that one. I think that's the most I have to say on that character. I'm glad that she's sticking around and is gonna come back, and we're gonna see more of her. 'Cause, also just acting wise, thought she was phenomenal from start to finish. Obviously, it's a lot in one scene to just switch to two different completely characters, and she pulled it off seamlessly.
Yeah.
In those transitions where she's kind of just like waking up into a new person. So I thought, yeah, really well done.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was gonna add further upon the stuff I said earlier, was just that the two personalities were great. They were really distinctive. Acting-wise, she did a good job. I liked Mary, but man, Walker was such a badass. If you've seen Terminator, giving me major Linda Hamilton vibes there, and Sarah Connor. She was just great, and her one-liners she would have, and just at one point, Davos was just shooting her. She's like, "Oh, okay, that's what you're gonna do." Like, she reminded me of fucking like soldiers in like. I don't know if you guys ever play the N64 game where like it's like toy soldiers or green soldiers, and they just have these generic army lines, but she had those, but she made them slick and sound really cool. And just even that scene when she goes to like meet up with Turk, and just the way she's moving and just really confident, she's like, she'll joke with people kind of using violence and whatnot, but then she is scary and intimidating. So yeah, I'm really excited for her to be sticking around, because I think she'll always be unpredictable variable in the show now, because that's what she was in the season. So not even just will she switch back and forth, just the thing of when she is Walker, she can just take you out. You don't know. At one point she was working with them, but then she was working against them. So yeah, great character, and I want to see more of her. So
yeah, because she doesn't have any allegiance based on like morals. Like she's just gun for hire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed her. Her unpredictableness just really added a lot more just craziness to the show. I think that she just learning about where her origin was, like what triggered her, and her split personalities too, and the way she was introduced, I really enjoyed it, because you couldn't tell, like, okay, is she good, is she bad, like what is she talking about, like Danny's being watched, like what is she really doing, like what are these notes in her apartment, like seriously, like what the hell is going on with this girl, like is she being watched, is she being threatened or something, like there's just so many questions coming from her, and even then, like even though we got answers, it's still just populated more questions following the answers, and I'm very excited to see her come back in season 3. I'm just surprised that they concluded her story kind of by when they were arresting Davos. They're saying, yeah, she's gonna get the help she needs and everything, and yet here she is out still causing a ruckus. So they did a bad job at detaining her, I guess. So
that's twice in a row, right? So
well, yeah,
she's undetainable. She's two people. You can't arrest Mary. What'd she do? She did nothing.
It's true. She did nothing at all.
I think I just have some odds and ends of notes here.
Yeah,
is there any characters? We talked about all the characters, I think.
Yeah, I talked about major ones.
Yeah. So there's a couple mentions of Rhino. Did you catch that?
Well, it's not that. It's not the Rhino. It's that guy is Rhino. That one little gangster boy. His name was Rhino.
Oh, his name was Rhino.
It really pissed me off. I know it's
I completely missed that, man. I didn't know his name was Rhino. I thought they were like setting up like what could be, the Rhino.
No, I was bitching about it the whole time. I don't like when they do that. I know they ignore the Marvel Netflix shows, but it's the same way in Spider-Man, how his voice thing's called Karen. It bugs the shit.
Yeah, well, I thought it was strange, like Rhino, coming in Netflix TV shows. I thought he'd be more one to come up in one of the movies.
Yeah, but no, that was just a guy named Rhino.
Damn.
Yeah. Is that all you have?
Just the Daredevil posting, I guess, but
yeah. You want to talk about the Daredevil scene?
I don't know. It just exists, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's at the end of the show.
Yeah.
It's
nothing really happens with it. It's just him.
It feels like the exact same as the teaser for me, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They had a few things in the very first episode. They do this classic thing where Danny's standing in the middle road waiting for this truck of bad guys to come, but this was after they had killed like cops and people to take the car, and he's just standing there waiting for them, and it's like, dude, you let some people die, so that's cool. Do you know who SpongeBob is? He's a sponge named Bob. That was a line Danny said, and then
that was the very start. I was like, oof.
Two great, well, one other thing is that girl that seduced Davos kept calling Davis or Davis. I really like that. He was always Mariah Stokes. And then two things that Ward said I really like. Joy's
Bushmaster.
You laugh at you know what that is. But
I know, I don't know what it is, but Just the accents just popping out here.
He's a great
He
one.
loves accents. At one point, Joy and Davos, when they're at some sort of nightclub thing or whatever, when Ward's there, Davos walks up. Joy says, "Say hello to Davos," and Ward goes, "Hello, Davos." And then
that was good.
Yeah, and then Walker and Ward have a scene together, which were great. They were fun together. But she's talking about a scene about something about getting records and pulling someone's teeth, and she's like, "Would you want that?" And he goes, "No. No one wants their teeth pulled." And yeah, he just great one-liners. So yeah, I don't have much to overall. I've said everything I need to at the beginning. I'm giving this a 7.5. I enjoyed it more than season 1 of Luke Cage, but I still think Luke Cage season 1 is better written, and I think the themes it tackles are a bit more powerful than this. Like it's more entertaining, but I think they did in Luke Cage have a really great tackle on race for a while, and then fucking. It went downhill quite a bit. His brother got involved, Diamondback, and I think that went downhill. But for a while, they were really strong. So that's where I think, from enjoyment level, enjoy this more. But 7.5 for me.
I really enjoyed this show. It's always hard for me to rank these. I've only seen all these shows once.
That's your first mistake.
So I'm kind of I mean, it's just. It's hard enough for me to find time to rewatch a movie a second time. So rewatching a whole season, let alone various seasons, is difficult. But I love this. I love this show from start to finish. Like,
wow.
I had a couple I guess minor kind of complaints, but really I don't know. Most of them were Davos, and I think you gave me some good reasons that kind of explain what was going on there. So overall, I just from start to finish, I'm really excited to see what they do more with these characters. I thought it was great progression for these characters, and it was great retroactively to kind of give more explanation development for what happened in the first season. And 10 episodes is amazing. Please, if any Marvel execs are tuning in on this review, please, 10 episodes was the way to go. Please make all the shows like this. Daredevil, I could stand a 13 episode, but the rest, make them 10 episodes. Please, it was an amazing choice. This is giving me some hype. This, I'm sure Daredevil season 3,
it's gonna be great.
I'm sure I'm gonna like it quite a bit because the first 2 seasons
It's gonna be the best Netflix season they've ever produced.
We're in a good timeline where this just came out, and then Daredevil's quite literally right around the corner.
And then Punisher's next.
Daredevil's, I should say, right down the hallway, and then Punisher is just in one of the rooms in that hallway.
In one of your family's gravestones.
Is Punisher? Sorry, is that coming out season 2? Are you just joking, or was that?
No, that's next.
That's next after.
That's after Daredevil.
Nice.
I imagine it'll be maybe March-ish, 2019.
March-ish?
But yeah, March-ish.
Nice. So we're in for a good string of shows here. Taylor, you got it? Gotta pick it up, man. Come on.
Well, I finished Iron Fist season 2 in less than a week, so that's pretty
faster than I. I mean, I was busy with Spider-Man, but I was on a bit of a low streak. But I'm glad I watched it finally.
Yeah, this season just did so many rights for me. I really, really loved it much more than the first season. Every chance I got that I had a free hour, I'm like, okay, let's pop the Iron Fist on. I was quite sad that it was over. All these people are playing Spider-Man. I'm like, oh, these Iron Fist memes and GIFs I can just post in the chat, and I'm just feeling my Iron Fist out like this. Well,
did you post any Iron Fist memes?
A few. They weren't that high quality.
Did you make them yourself?
No, it was just every time someone would talk about Spider-Man, I just post an Iron Fist related.
But then me and Dylan Kirkland were smart. We moved into our own private.
Well, of course you did.
Yeah.
I have my own Iron Fist chat
with yourself, sending memes to yourself.
Our chat between the three of us is just a big fucking Kevin Feige head. I can't. It's him without the hat. It's too much. Anytime I open my phone, it's just Kevin Feige. There's a little goofy little smile and just a big bald head. I can't take it seriously. I'm going into the message bias, I can't. I don't know what this is.
We hadn't used our three-way group in a while, and then when Taylor mentioned the other day, it was just a picture of Feige, and I said, I forgot. Whose vote was it, Feige? Taylor, what'd you give this a number rating?
16-year-old dragon.
I'll give this
that's who Danny fought, a 16-year-old dragon.
That's why I beat him. It was only a 16-year-old dragon.
I'll give this 8.5 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed this, and with how good this was, it just has me really excited for what's to come, and all the more excited to go back and watch. Probably rewatch Jessica Jones just because.
Really?
I'm gonna start with Daredevil though. I'm gonna get into Daredevil.
You gotta get on that season 3.
Oh yes, I will.
Well, you
Before
have it
season
done
3?
before season 3, October
When
19th.
October.
You watched all this in a week. That's like.
I did, but I got a lot under my belt. I got, as you said, School, Venom, and Assassin's Creed, and Call of Duty.
You can cut out 3 of those things and just replace it with Daredevil.
That's what I did. Look at me now.
Yeah.
How many episodes is season 1 of Daredevil?
They're both 13, so you got 26 episodes.
But they're
26
good.
hours.
It's a good 26.
Yeah,
Not too less than 26.
It's
They're like
yeah.
40 minutes.
Yeah, except the finales. Those
50
usually an hour,
minutes.
yeah.
Sometimes an hour.
So what's in it for me if I watch?
You
both
get to be
seasons?
on the
Enjoyment.
season 3 review.
Enjoyment.
Well, I gotta watch season 3.
And you'll know what's in it for you. You'll get to see the best Marvel Netflix shows.
It's true.
Yeah.
To this, I cannot disagree.
He's not gonna agree. He'll like Iron Fist more.
Everyone agrees.
But hey, show, if you like this review, go back and
Everyone's
talking about
gonna-
Daredevil. Check out our reviews for all the other Marvel Netflix shows. We've done them all, except for Daredevil season 1. Maybe one day we'll do it. Thank you very much for tuning in. We promise you next time you hear from us, it will not be boring.
Bye bye.
Check out links below.
Okay, so.